Now, questions. Let's dive into questions. And these are listener questions. And here we go. And as I always do, I take these questions, I copy and paste them. And first time I actually read the question and think about it from a legal standpoint is right here during this podcast. So if you have a legal question, 2 ways to reach me, 855-LAWFATHER and lawfather@tampalawfather.com. Those are the 2 best ways to reach me and get your questions in. I also put stuff up on Instagram and Facebook each week, reminding everybody to get their questions in. If you notice, the show format has been every other week questions and case or no case, and I think we're going to continue that. So you have 2 weeks to get your questions in before the next show. Anyway, first question. If you get laid off and can't afford to pay your child support or alimony, are there any exceptions? Now, I'm assuming since this question came in really recently, as in the last 2, 3, 4 days, that this question has to do with the coronavirus and the pandemic that we're in the middle of. And the simple answer to that question is yes. Yes, there is a way, there is a vehicle to change your child support or alimony. Child support and alimony are 2 different things, so let's just dive into that real quickly. Child support is exactly what it says it is dealing with the child, okay, and the amount of money that you pay the other side for child support, and that's what child support is. Alimony is basically spousal support, is a synonym for alimony. So 2 different things. Alimony has to do with need and ability to pay. Child support, there is a calculator for it. There is a worksheet for it. It has essentially less to do with need and ability to pay like alimony does. But when you have some extenuating circumstances, that can change your child support payment. And right now, most of the country, I would say almost all of the country is in the middle of an extreme extenuating circumstance. And, if you can't find a better textbook, or you can't find a better textbook example of an extenuating circumstance as we're in right now. Now, that really just scratches the surface on that question. And that is something that my office can handle. Monique Scott in my office does handle these types of cases. 855-LAWFATHER. She'll be able to get into a lot more depth into the answer to that question, and she can be able to help you out with that. So whoever had asked that question, please call us at 855-LAWFATHER, ask for Monique Scott, and we'll get you in touch with her and get that answered for you. And if we need to start a legal proceeding, we can absolutely do that. All right. So now, number 2, the police came to my house to ask my dad questions. He wasn't home. Should he talk to them? Now, great question. Short answer is no. Absolutely not. The police come to your house, don't talk to them. The police come up to you on the street, don't talk to them. Now, if they stop you, okay, you kind of have to. But if they say, hey, I want to talk to you about this crime that was committed over there, your answer, talk to my lawyer. Why? I did nothing wrong, right? Wasn't me. Or, hey, I think I'm smarter than everybody else, and I think I'm going to talk my way out of this, even though I really did do it. Call your lawyer. And here's how I know this, okay? Look, the police don't come to just ask questions. If they're going to ask questions and they already know the answers and they already know you did it, you're going to be in handcuffs, and then they're going to ask questions. How do I know? Because this is how I used to do things. 6 years in law enforcement, I learned a few things, okay? There's one that really stands out to me. There was... I had really just started and was working in, I believe it was either Safety Harbor or Oldsmar in Pinellas County. And we had a car fire, and it was an arson, and it was out in the woods somewhere over there. And we get some information, and we figure out who the car belongs to. Now, if you've ever seen a car catch on fire, it destroys the entire thing. Glass actually melts into liquid. It's quite amazing. So there wasn't much left. I believe the tag was left, which was kind of shocking. I think it may have fallen off before it really had a chance to melt and disappear. So we had this lead, and we go to the house, and we start talking to mom, dad, and kid. I believe the kid was 18 at the time. He was young. He was 17 or 18. And I started talking to him. Now look, I have no idea who did it. Okay? Start talking to him, start asking questions, and we take something that we have literally no idea who did it, and we turned it into arresting the child for it, or the kid, like I said, 17 or 18. So that's it in a nutshell. Now, if he had just said, nope, I'm not going to talk to you, talk to my lawyer, we would have left. It would have got forwarded to detectives. They would have hired a lawyer. Detectives would have called them. The lawyer would have been involved and told them to say nothing. Okay? Fine, law enforcement. Build your case. Show us the evidence. Then we'll see. All right? But have a lawyer involved for that. And I could name you several other instances where I was able to arrest people just based on having a conversation with them that is completely, hey, can I ask you about this? Sure, yeah, go ahead. You can ask me about that. Okay, great, right? No Miranda issues there. So just want to keep in mind, right? And hey, they didn't read me my rights. So let's talk about that real quick. And we'll get into that in a lot more detail in another podcast, because I think, A, we're going a little long here, and B, I want to have that actually be a main focus. But real brief version of it is that your Miranda rights, your quote unquote, they read me my rights, right? You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney. Those, right, have to deal with in-custody interviews. These interviews that I'm talking about, the interview that this question seems to be asking about, is what we call a non-custodial interview. You don't have rights. You don't. Your only right is you can say, I don't want to talk to an attorney, but I don't have to tell you that. So you do have rights, but I don't have to tell you your rights if I'm law enforcement in that situation. So, short answer, don't talk to them. Remember this number, 855-Lawfather. The police come to talk to you, tell them, hold a second. I'm going to call my attorney, and then we can talk. All right? I'll talk. Hey, we can put it on speakerphone if we need to. That's fine. We can have that conversation right there. I'm okay with that. 855-Lawfather for that. Now, lastly, number 3. I was told Florida is a no-fault state. I was rear-ended. How does no fault affect me? All right. Definitely a much longer topic that we'll get into on a future podcast. But here's what that means. All right. Florida has $10,000 of personal injury protection benefits. Your personal injury protection covers you. All right. You get rear-ended, so you're the car in front and you're hurt. The first $10,000 of your medical bills comes from your own insurance. Anything over top of that comes from the other driver's insurance. Your personal injury protection covers 80% of your bills. You're responsible for the other 20%. That's where we come in. We come in and say, hey, the other 20%, our client shouldn't have to pay that. And any amount over $10,000, they shouldn't have to pay that. So therefore, you caused the crash, Mr. Person who rear-ended our client. So you're responsible for that. And then we get into pain and suffering and lost wages and those things. So even though Florida is a no-fault state, the insurance companies do assign fault. Juries can assign fault. Okay, you would have to assign fault in order to find somebody negligent and go from there. So yes, Florida is a no-fault state, but it's really delegated to that first $10,000. There's other states, I believe New Jersey is $200,000 in PIP, and those cases are a lot different. Not licensed in New Jersey, so really only talking about Florida here, but vast difference between a true no fault at $200,000, what I call Florida being a hybrid, because our limits are only $10,000. If you've ever seen a hospital bill after a car crash, $10,000 goes really about to the hospital bill. Okay, so any other treatment after that, for the most part, is over and above that $10,000. So that said, that is the Lawfather Podcast for today. All right, 855